3.3 kilometres, that's the circuit here at the Power Build Tools International Raceway. Remember, they're using BP fuel, and here's how they line up on the BP Ultimate Grid. Scott and Fogg on the front row.
Andy Booth and Johnny McIntyre, row 2.
Then watch out for Beard and Manuel.
Then we have the local boys, Andy Knight and Eddie Bow.
Next up is the man who's got the lap record around here, Paul Pedersen. Alongside him, Tim Edgell after that big rebuild. Great to see him on the grid.
Row 6 sees Andrew Anderson and John Penny.
Then it's Andrew Porter in the 111 car, the 777 car, Steve Owen.
We have another local boy, Adam Brock and Michael Bristow.
Then it's Simon Richards from the Waikato and Dale Williams on the Stabbycraft Ford.
Row 10 sees Nick Ross and Inky Tulloch.
Further back down the field, McCarrison and Hepburn. McCarrison after that big rebuild.
Yeah, then we have Dave Stewart and Chris Adams.
Dave Stewart in the brand new car, and also Boyd Norwood struggling with gearbox problems this weekend. So that's how they line up for the BNT V8s, the Hamster 200, Race 1, Ruapuna, remember, trialling the new rolling start. Former V8 champion Mark Pedersen. First gear, 50k speed limit, controlled by the pole man Kane Scott. So it'll be like sort of driving down to the corner dairy and finishing up at a drag strip.
It is, Clint. We actually have no idea what's going to unfold here. This is new to everybody. No one has an advantage of rehearsing it before. So let's just wait and see what happens. I think we're going to see a big fan out effect once the lights turn green.
Waiting for those 5 reds to go out. We are racing. Beard's off to a flyer down the in-start. Foggy cleans up Kane Scott.
You know, we're looking 5, 6 cars abreast.
So they're out of the corner dairy. Now they're down towards the drag strip on that first hit, and it's Fogg in front.
What happens here, Clint, is the whole circuit funnels down. So 4 cars goes to 2. They have to get to 1 at some stage.
Good clean start so far.
No dust in the background. Everybody's got through turn 1. Let's see about turn 2. Well, Angus just using a little bit of the curb there, unsettling the car. He's going to come hard to the right-hand side of the circuit just to defend that line.
Great shot as they rumble around pothole down to the hairpin for the first time. Look at that. Good, clean, hard rubbing and racing so far.
See John Penny in the middle pack, almost backing the car in maximum rear braking.
3 wide coming out of the hairpin.
Here we go once again. You can come out, 2 can go into it. Only 1 can come out though.
Tight, tactical, twisty part of Ruapuna. On board with Inky Tulloch. Richards and Bristow bumping each other but still staying on track.
Yeah, a little bit of rubbing. That's just plain good old racing.
This is what the crowds have come to see this weekend, and the drivers need. It's Fogg, Scott, Beard. Sensational start for him.
Fantastic sound, fantastic footage, isn't it?
On board with Andrew Porter, the truck racer. In front, the ITM Commodore of Andrew Anderson.
Okay, 3rd gear, okay, hard on the brakes here, down to 2nd gear. This is a very...
Oh, Andrew Anderson just slipping wide coming out of the sweeper. Porter says thanks very much.
Let's have a look at the in-car camera. Let's see if we can see Andrew come out to the right of him. Paul Pedersen here, Eddie Bow having a good battle.
Paul Pedersen's got the lap record here. Remember that both Kane Scott and Angus Fogg, you're on board with him at the moment, have got under the lap record in qualifying, so scintillating speed here already. Can they do it in race pace this afternoon?
One thing we need to keep an eye on here is all the drivers have been warned about using too much of the circuit. You'll see them using a lot there. Angus using a little bit more than he's meant to there. They have been warned. If they continue to do it, they will be brought through the pits for a drive-through penalty.
Paul Manuel charging down the inside of the Milwaukee Falcon of Andy Knight. One of the 8 champion drivers in this field. Remember that Andy Knight, the local Cantabrian, won the Toyota Racing Series last year, the New Zealand Grand Prix. And look at that, there's mayhem at the back there.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, I don't know what unfolded there. It went off the infield, managed to regather it. But here's Nick Ross and Mike Bristow having a good battle.
Problems here for Bristow. And the tech's on site, going off site in his car.
Not too sure. You can hear a whole lot of rumbling and rattling, which would mean something's broken, but it could be the debris. But the car's accelerating again. Maybe a missed gear, maybe a gearbox issue. Time will tell.
So it's Angus Fogg. He had a shocking weekend in Pukekohe. He needs to pick up points. Kane Scott, Beard, Booth, McIntyre, great scrap. Manuel trying to charge down the inside of Paul Pedersen.
Eddie Bow will catch onto this battle too, because these guys are thinking, and as you say, look at that. Paul a little bit wide there. Eddie just pounced, took advantage of it.
So many different lines coming out of that sweeper.
There are so many interpretations. You know, I've been coming to the circuit for 15 years. Not once have I ever left felt satisfied I've got it right.
Bit like Andy Booth, but he seems to be on the pace, although Paul Manuel Not quite as quick as he was at Pukekohe.
No, not at this stage, but it's a long weekend. Still got a lot of racing to go, so we'd expect him to make inroads.
Andy Knight, of course, the Toyota Racing Series champion with the Milwaukee Ford. Struggled a bit with the setup of the car, but it seems to be okay this weekend so far.
One thing we're going to see, Clint, there's a whole different attitude in the cars from qualifying to race. Now, cars can be very quick for 2 or 3 laps of qualifying, 2 or 3 laps of the race, and then they start to fade. Once the brakes get hot, we'll probably see the water spray start coming on soon. That will start playing a significant role in this race.
Flat tyre in the front of Mike Bristow's car. They pulled it off. They're putting a new one on. Now, if we cast our memory back to 12 months ago, in the first and second race, there was quite a few cars that came with a flat tyre, so maybe Mike's the first one of a few to come in here. But big time loss here for the number 82 car.
So that would explain the problems for Michael Bristow. Back out in front, great scrap developing. Kane Scott determined to try and regain the spot he lost to Angus Fogg right at the start.
Exactly right. What happens within the racing in this scenario is the lead driver can only move once, i.e. if Kane Scott goes to the right, Angus can only go to the right once. He can't go to the right and then left to defend it. Hence why you're seeing Kane go one way to the other.
Round the famous pothole corner at Ruapuna. How far out wide can they actually run onto those ribble strips?
They can put the outside wheels on it a couple of times, but if they continue to put the whole car over, they have been warned that they will get penalised for it.
Angus Fogg still leading in the LG Motorsport car. Kane Scott, the Fujitsu Ford. Beardo, the Porsche champion, really seems to have found his feet so far in the V8s, and the great scrap here between the two former champions. Andy Booth and McIntyre, problems for Anderson.
Yeah, facing the wrong way. Whether he done it by himself, got assisted, not too sure, but no doubt we'll find out.
Let's take a look at that replay. Entrance into the hairpin, and there's Andrew Anderson, the ITM Commodore.
Maximum braking, you'll see he's just gone a little bit wide because probably carried a little bit too much speed into the marbles. John Penny, a little bit of assistance. How the judicial judges this, time will tell.
We'll take a break while they decide. Stay with us, BNT V8s. Welcome back. Hot stuff here at Ruapuna. It's the Hamster 200. Race 1 of the BNT V8s, and a great scrap for 4th and 5th between Andy Booth and John McIntyre.
One thing about the circuit, Clint, because it's so technical, you can have a lot more car speed in the corners than the car in front, but if that car comes on 2 or 3 kilometres an hour quicker onto the straight, it's very hard to make amends for that extra speed they carry.
Andy Booth of the Big Bed Commodore hates this track, but they picked up some great speed towards the end of qualifying on Friday. But look at this, Johnny McIntyre down the inside.
Yeah, I don't think this battle's over somehow, though. Andy's going to stay in there. Got every right to. Look at that. 2 into 1, 2, 2. And he got the place back. Fantastic.
McIntyre struggling with the flu picked up from his kids, and also just says the car feels a bit average at the moment. But, gee, the two former champions putting on a great show. 2-time champions, both these guys, remember?
Yes, they certainly are.
Remember that McIntyre trying to go for the three-peat. But at the moment, he can't get past the bumper of the Big Ben Commodore.
No, and this circuit also has a lot of what I call interim corners. So basically, it's a corner where you're accelerating from one to the other, and the cars are on the rev limiter. So you need to make a decision. Do I leave it hard on limiter in second gear or to go to third? Hence why you may see some cars close up, some cars drop back because they make the gear change or leave it in one gear.
McIntyre coming out of the sweeper. How close is that? Let's go on board the champion.
Okay, up to 4th gear, you'll see him just try to pan out there. You see his car actually pulling away. Probably a little bit better drive, slightly a little more horsepower, but also aerodynamics. Oh, Inky, what are you doing?
Oh, he's just lost it and forces Dale Williams wide and drifting out of the corner. Both of them hanging on to it. Keep it off the walls, boys.
Fantastic bit of drifting, isn't it?
Oh, the 2-for-1 sweeper. Crowd will love that.
Absolutely. Going back to what we were saying before, though, it's one thing getting close to a car with the downforce, but once you get too close, you see his car smoking now. Probably just the guard folded onto the tyre. I doubt it's anything too mechanical, though. Yeah, Clint, you'll see when the car is actually leaning to the right, that's the only time the car smokes. When we go to the left here, you'll see the smoke goes away. Nothing to worry about. Oh, yeah, but that certainly is.
He's got Dale Williams to worry about because that stabby craft is not going away.
It is not. Now, who's going to win this braking duel here?
Good scrap into the hairpin, and Dale Williams says, I'll take that spot back. Thanks very much.
Now, can Inky do the crossover like we saw with Andy Booth and Johnny McIntyre? No, he can't.
Problems for Steve Owen. Let's go to Roger Davis.
Well, looks like there's a problem here with the Steve Owen car, and they're in the boot in the back of the car. So there's quite a bit of damage across the back of it, taping things down, and they're going to push him and send him back on his way.
Well, let's take a look at the Hydrolink best under pressure moment. And this is it. Inky Tulloch just smoking up the brakes into the sweeper, slides into Dale Williams. Check out the car control here, boys, side by side. And under pressure, they both managed to keep it away from the concrete.
Yeah, you'll see out there in the marbles or the loose debris, hence, you know, it might look more dramatic than what it was.
Fast and furious entrance into the main straight at Ruapuna, but out in front. Good scrap between Fogg and Kane Scott, and this has been a great little battle too. Further back down the field, Eddie Bell, one of the Cantabrians in front of him. He's got Paul Manuel on board the Oryx Commodore.
Yeah, Paul Manuel's a sandwich between the two local Christchurch guys. All three of them doing a fantastic job.
Got to say that Eddie Bell, the mini champion's having a great season so far, running right up there in the top 10. Paul Manuel, of course, had his first win at Pukekohe, just slightly off the pace here this weekend. Charging around the outside is Kane Scott, putting the pressure on Fogg.
You know, Angus is driving quite defensive here, and he's going to open himself up if he's not careful for Kane to drop back and get an absolute flyer out of the sweeper. You'll see he's a little bit sideways. Can Kane capitalise? Maybe not enough room coming into this next sequence of corners.
Fujitsu heat pump Ford Falcon. Gee, he's got Foggy under the pump here. BNT lurking in the background, the Porsche champion doing double duty this weekend.
You know, Angus has been defensive here, but driving with a great deal of maturity. The problem they both face now is because they're slowing each other down, it's allowing Craig Baird onto the back of this battle.
Talking to Foggy before the weekend, he said, look, after Pukekohe, he thought he was overdriving sometimes. Now just wants to perhaps just relax a bit and try and let the speed come, and look at that, it's working for him.
Absolutely. You know, we saw what happens when he gets it wrong at Pukekohe, and what's happened here.
Chris Adams, the Mosgiel man, they had the big rebuild, and he's gone off. Back on the track, though. Fogg coming around the sweeper. Let's go back and board and check out those problems with the Andrew Porter car, is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, he's climbing out of the car, which is always a terminal sign.
So that's disappointment for the truck racer.
You know, he had a fantastic run going at both Taupo and Pukekohe, so it's a shame to see.
Talking about truck racing, there's the current champion, Johnny Hepburn, and a motorcycle champion. 8 different types of champions racing here in the BNT V8s, so it's a great quality field, but he's under pressure here from Simon Richards, the Waikato man.
You see what happened there? John Hepburn got out on the marbles, lost a little bit of drive, allowed Simon just to capitalise and pounce and take the position.
He's been getting a few tips from Clark Proctor this weekend, and of course the former stocky man just saying don't overdrive the car, and it seems to be working. Good battle for 12th and 13th here.
It's amazing to see in front of Simon Richards is Alan McHarrison. Now, he's had a fantastic drive because he started 22nd on the grid, was involved in that huge wreck at Pukekohe.
The other guy involved in that huge wreck at Pukekohe was this man, Angus Fogg, and what a turnaround for him. Out in front, all the big chants behind him. Scott, Baird, Booth, McIntyre. Look at that duel.
You'll see from Johnny Mac's car, this is the frustrating part of the circuit because it's so slow. You've got a little bit more car speed in the car in front. There's very few options you can actually get away with, try to make the pass stick.
Remember too, he's also racing with the flu. It's hot and sweaty inside that car, and he can't get past Boothie.
You know, it's 30 degrees outside, 50 plus degrees inside the car. You know, you've only got to be a little bit off your game and you absolutely suffer to the maximum.
And remember too, if you get into the marbles in the outer part of the track, you could be well off the track too, so it's hot, hard, screaming work here with the BNT V8s with those tyres starting to go off as well.
You know, we can just hear a little bit of chattering in the background. That's the tyre protesting. The reason is 30 degrees outside, the tyre will be up to 36 pounds, okay, or 100 degrees centigrade across the surface of the tyre. This Dunlop control tyre is absolutely fantastic considering what the tyres ask of it.
On board with the champion, Johnny McIntyre. Back in 5th place at the moment.
Yeah, down to 2nd gear here, you know, accelerating, waiting for it. You'll see left foot hard to the ground now. Up to 3rd, not using the clutches we've seen from Johnny before. Slap jab on the brake. Okay, hard on the acceleration again. Okay, jab on the brake, just make sure it's there, down through the gears.
One of the main passing opportunities around here at Ruapuna is that hairpin. Now they work their way up. Oh, well, they're trying to work their way up, but who's made a good recovery there? It's Simon Richards. This is that battle. McCarrison, Richards and Hepburn.
Hope we didn't put the commentator's curse on him a couple of laps ago, Clint.
Dave Stewart getting on the end of that freight train as well. The Wellington driver in that new car for this round, $50,000 worth. So it's great to see him in the race, but look at that. He's too drifting out wide. Oh, a bit of a nudge from Andrew Anderson.
Yeah, just a little bit of assistance, mind you. He did get it wrong mid-corner. Andrew had the drive going. Absolutely nothing in that.
Wellington property developer. Works mainly around the high rises in the inner city part of the harbour capital. And here he is around the inner part of Ruapuna with the QMU man right on his bumper.
Just goes to prove, you know, Andrew's qualifying speed will show he's probably a second and a half quicker than these guys. Goes back to the frustrating part we talked about. Very few options you can do because it's such a technical track. One corner leads on to the next, onto the next.
Cars doing the old power glide. McCarrison going a bit too wide.
See how much you pay the price, Clint? You put one wheel wrong, bang, two, possibly three cars in the blink of an eye.
Dave Stewart senses his chance, and this is that big sweep with so many different sort of ways in and out.
Yes, we saw two really good interpretations right there, didn't we?
Last lap, Fogg on target for a win. Can he hang on? So far, we've had no big biff and bash, so it's been an amazing turnaround by the drivers. Craig Beard right up there, putting the pressure on Kane Scott now.
Yeah, the pressure Craig's putting on Kane has actually allowed Angus to get away from this battle here, so it's probably given him a little bit of breathing space. Oh, he's a monster in the back of the car, isn't he?
Remember coming off the win in the Porsche GT3 Championship. He knows how to do it in the Porsches and starting to get on speed here in the BNT V8s. Problems here for Paul Manuel.
Accelerator just broke.
So that's the frustration at the rear of the field, and here's the elation out in front. Fogg gets the win. Scott second. Beard coming home for third. Inky Tulloch struggling to get across the line further back down the field. Booth and McIntyre continued their great finish for the top five. So Angus Fogg gets his second win of the BNT V8s. Kane Scott second, Beard third, Booth and McIntyre rounding out the top five. Knight and Bell and Brook also up there in the top 10, the three Cantabs. Timmy Edgell finishes the race without any panel damage. That's great for him.